It's time for another episode of Friends of Jeff with my friend Jason. Jason, how are you?
Jeff, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Kind of a shitty Sunday, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Yep.
tell us why.
Well, a few different reasons. First and foremost, I had to put down my oldest dog this morning, which super sucks.
Oh
The
man, that's
Bears
the worst.
lost. The
Yeah.
49ers lost. We think what else? I think that's it.
Well, I reason number one would be enough for me, man. That sucks. That
Yeah,
really
14,
sucks.
14 years. Adopted her 14 years ago and was always a puppy up until the last couple of weeks. I think she really kind of took a turn. But it was time. And yeah, great way to start off a Sunday. And Christmas
Yeah,
season.
yeah. No, I hear you. I know how much you guys love your dogs. I mean, it's like when I said the text. I mean, pets are like kids, man. I had two before we had kids, and yeah, you treat them the same. So I'm really sorry about that.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, so we still have two boys now. And we're back to an even ratio within the house. humans to pets.
There you
So we'll
go.
see how
There
long
you
that
go.
lasts.
Good. Well, how old are the other two?
Let's see. 9 and 2. So we should be okay here for a little while, hopefully.
Good. Well, I hope so.
Yeah. Where do we start with the Bears this week?
Well, here's how I see it. Okay. What did we left off last week hoping, we're talking draft picks and all that, and kind of hoping that they would play well, but that they would continue to lose so they don't lose draft position, right? And
Exactly.
I got to tell you, I think today, at least from an offensive standpoint, once they got going, I think you got that. I really do. Obviously they struggle defensively, and we can get into all that, but they offensively, after their usual slow start, which they always have, they seem to move the ball pretty well.
Yeah, it was encouraging. I got what I wanted. I got basically what I wanted. It was a Bears loss because I don't want them to ruin their draft position for no reason. And Caleb looked decent, better. He threw for 334. He threw for a couple touchdowns. He did have a fumble lost, no interceptions, so I think he still has a streak going on there. Accuracy was not there again, 26 of 40, which is really not good. But it was a good game from him, I think. And he also led the team in rushing. So, a typical DeAndre Swift no-show, 2 yards of carry, a couple of catches, and that's about it. The defense clearly didn't have it today, but I think that was to be expected against the Lions. I mean, they have one of the best offenses, and actually in the second half, they kind of clamped down a little bit. But I remember watching this game, and at the end of the first quarter, this easily could have been a 21-0 game because there were a couple of red zone stops, close, field goals that should have been touchdowns probably, but easily could have been 21-0 by the end of the first quarter. And again, Chicago came out flat first quarter. They did pick up a couple points in the second quarter, which is great. But guess what? They didn't do shit in the second half. I think they hit a field goal, and that was it.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see them score in the first half for the first
That's
time
nice.
in 4
First
games.
time in 3 games. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was good to see. And I think in those halves that they didn't score, they'd been outscored something like 73-0 in that time frame. So it was good to see them start to get going. But no, I agree. I just want to see 4 quarters of quality football from start to finish. Yeah, we're not seeing it. We haven't seen it.
And
for a long time.
Offensive line, again, was decent. Only allowed 2 sacks, a few hits, a couple, penalties that were probably not great, but decent. But I think this was also, Caleb seemed to be getting the ball out a little bit quicker today. And there weren't as many of those ridiculous scrambles and him running around as much as we've seen the last couple games.
Agree. I mean, you saw a couple of them, but I know the commentators mentioned that he was getting the ball out fairly quickly, and it was good to see. I mean, the touchdown to Allen is one of his best throws of the year. I mean,
that was a nice throw.
He hit Keenan in full stride, and I mean,
between the corner and the safety, I mean, that was, it looked like cover 2 to me, and he threw it to the exact spot that it needed to be. And like I said, in stride, and Keenan took it. I mean, Keenan had a great game. 9 for
He did have a
141 and a
great
touchdown.
game, and you know, it was one of those passes where my immediate thought was, okay, that's what's been done to the Bears all season long, and for them to finally hit one
Mhm.
that looks like a competent NFL throw, pass catch touchdown. I mean, it's like, okay, where has this been all season long? And maybe it's part of the development. I don't know, but I mean, he had that throw. He had the fourth down throw to Odunze, which was a nice throw.
Mhm.
Rome had a tough game today.
He did.
He had a tale of two games. I mean, in the beginning, you mentioned the Williams fumble, which I think was just as much Rome's fault as it was Caleb's. And
Yeah,
then
did you watch that replay? Because I want
I
to talk about
did.
that for a second, because it got charged to Williams. The announcers thought that it was Odunze, but from what I saw, it looked like an option play, and it looked like Caleb started to pull it back away from him. Now, it could just been the
Yes.
camera angle I saw, so I don't know. Either way, yes, a fumble. And then, yeah,
Well,
Rome had that other fumble on the catch.
yeah, I mean, the replay, like you said, showed that Caleb just kind of held on to it. And I don't know if he didn't want to let it go or was trying to,
Mhm.
like you said, pull it back and just didn't do it quick enough. But I mean, obviously something they got to work on. I mean, if you noticed when they did that play, I mean, that was a quick snap, turn, handed off. It's supposed to be Sia, right? All timing, right?
Mhm.
And they got the timing off, obviously, and not good. But yeah, Rome's other fumble, just unfortunate. Sometimes after a nice catch, a nice run, you got to know when to go down, right?
Yeah, just
It's
go
like,
down.
okay, at what
Pull Tyler
expense is
Lockett.
at what expense is that one extra yard you're going to get, right? So
Yep. I don't fault the guy in that kind of play. Right, he's fighting for yardage. I think it's a rookie thing, right? Know when to go down, and like
right.
you said, it is what it is. He's made some great catches, and he had a couple nice catches. And Keenan had another game with a couple nice catches. It seems like Keenan and Caleb are really starting to connect. Um, DJ almost feels kind of like the odd man out between Keenan, Rome, and DJ Moore.
Yes, which is interesting. I mean, DJ had 7 catches today. It's 68 yards.
Super quiet 7 catches.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it so if Caleb and Keenan Allen are developing this, cohesion, whatever you call it, relationship, whatever it is, Keenan's a free agent.
Yeah.
That's my question now. Do you re-sign him, or do you just kind of take it for what it is and chalk it up to Caleb's development and let him go? I don't know. I mean, you've got more locked in for what, 3 more years, I think it is, at least. And obviously Rome's on a rookie deal. So unless you trade DJ Moore, they're both going to be here for a while.
Yeah. Well, I
So
guess
what do
the
you do?
question for
What do you
me
do?
is, what do you give? What are you giving up in exchange? So if you don't sign Keenan, what does that get you?
Well,
That's what it comes down to for me. Like, he's an older receiver, but he's still productive. Yes, he's had some drops. I like Keenan Allen. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think
I
he's a
do too.
great
I agree.
wide
I
receiver.
agree 100%.
And if they can keep him at the right price, sure. But if they're keeping him at the expense of, I don't know, somebody on the offensive line or defensive line where they clearly need the help, I don't know. Right? He's a veteran. He's probably going to command a price tag. I don't know if he's missing being back in San Diego with the success that San Diego's had. Or
Yeah.
LA, I should say at this point, LA Chargers, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do it too.
I'd like to keep him, but not at the expense of something else that we need.
Well, let me see. I always forget this. Which comes first? Maybe you know this. The draft or free agency?
Free agency starts in March, I believe, and then the draft comes after that.
Okay, because ultimately you would like to see what you wind up with in the draft, and then kind of take free agency from there. I don't know what kind of demand a Keenan Allen has around the league at this point in his career. I mean, the Bears got him for a 4th rounder, I think it was. So it's not like he was expensive to bring here. He's 33? Is that right? 33, 34.
Yeah, he's getting up there. He's
Okay.
probably got 1 year left.
Okay.
of this sort of, he's had these couple of good games and he's been a good receiver, but he's also enjoying the benefits of having a DJ Moore on the
Yes.
outside as well. And which is good, right, for him in his position. So I don't know. I think he's got 1, maybe 2 productive years, but I think he's done no more than 2 years out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm trying to think where their money obviously needs to go towards the offensive line if it's available free agency, right? I mean, like we've talked about before, good offensive linemen never hit the market ever, unless
Right.
they are holding out for more money or any of that stuff. But you don't see that nearly as often. You can get offensive linemen in the draft. I mean, they're there, and
Well,
I don't
can you?
think.
Because we just had a rookie start and he got demolished last week.
Well, you should be able to get
Right.
an offensive lineman in the draft. Obviously not. It's kind of weird because Braxton Jones, who's been our starter for 3 years now, I think was a 6th rounder and has been okay, not great, but not terrible. And then obviously Amagaje was a 3rd rounder. Clearly doesn't belong on an NFL field yet. I mean, he's a project. So I think it just kind of, God, I mean, linemen kind of are hit or miss unless you get guys at the very top of the draft in the 1st, maybe the 2nd round. Other than that, you really don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's an offensive lineman from Kansas City that's projected to potentially hit the market,
Okay.
and that's Trey Smith. He's going to command a premium because he's one of the best guards in the game, and he's only 25 years old. So they're thinking he's probably a $75 million, $80 million contract. Now, the Bears have lots of free agency cap, and Kansas City doesn't. So if he hits the open market, that could be a quick upgrade to bring in a guy like that. Now, hopefully the return on that investment is there because we've seen us overpay for, plenty of players that the production hasn't been there.
Well, I mean, you still have so you still have Braxton Jones. I know you'd probably like to upgrade him if you can. They still have a decision is going to have to be made on Tevin Jenkins. When he plays, he's good. His question has always been health. I think he left the game. He left the game today, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, Coleman Shelton is not the answer at center. I think he's here on a 1-year deal, so he's done anyway. They got rid of Nate Davis already. Matt Pryor, I don't think is an NFL starting guard, despite being the biggest guy on their team. And then you've got the young guy, Darnell Wright, who is pretty good and will keep developing. But, if you're only 2, maybe 2.5 out of 5 an offensive lineman, we're seeing that's not enough. You've got to be solid up front to get production and get pass protection and run the football and all that. And it's not happening. So,
yeah, but what's realistic? You can't go out and buy 5 new starters.
No.
So you've got to start somewhere because you're not, even if you had the money, you wouldn't find 5 available free agents to really redo your offensive line. So you're going to have to do it between the draft and some free agency. If this guy becomes available or any other high-end offensive lineman, I think the Bears have to take a look at that and spend the money there. So yeah, go get a guy like that and then try again in the draft to get, studs who can be ready or close to ready, when they're drafted.
I think if you had to narrow it down to say 2, I think you have to replace Shelton at center and you got to replace Pryor at guard. So that answers your question as far as what the priority I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you still have Jones and Wright on the outside, and then you've got a real guard and another center who can both block somewhat, and you get a healthy Tevin Jenkins, now you might be in business a little bit, right? You also need a running back who's willing to go between the tackles and not dance around and not, be afraid of contact at the line. And DeAndre Swift is definitely not that.
Yes.
So, which brings me to this. Okay, they're sitting at number 9 right now in the draft with 2 games to go. Okay. Believe it or not, there are 8 teams with either an equal record that they hold the tiebreaker over or a worse record still with 2 games to go. According to Tankathon, And I look at Tankathon a lot because, well, that's
Why
where
not?
we are as Bears fans. They rank Ashton Gentry out of Boise State, the running back who was second in the Heisman voting, the number 9 player in the draft overall. 344 this is this year, 344 carries, 2,497 yards, and 29 touchdowns. Finished second to Travis Hunter in the Heisman. A lot of people thought he should have won the Heisman. If he's there, do you take a look? Do you think about it?
I think it depends on who else is there. I don't think a running back helps this team right now.
Okay.
Unless he can pick up the blitz. And then what's the
Right.
point of having a running back like that? Unless, it's a chip block and then, throw it over the guy he just blocked over his hands.
So you're saying that they should draft based on need as opposed to potentially best player available. Because a lot of teams will tell you draft the best player available no matter where he plays, and you find a spot for him and you find a way to make it work.
I guess it depends on where they end up and who else is on the board. I mean, they spent a lot of money on DeAndre Swift. What are they going to do? Cut him and spend that money? Or is it going to be Roshan Johnson's out? Which I'm not married to Roshan Johnson. I don't care about him.
Right.
But, I just don't see how a running back helps the team right now. What they need is offensive line. They need defensive line. And a bunch of them.
I agree with you. Those are their two biggest positions of need, for sure.
I mean, I'm torn on it because if you get a chance to get a game breaker like that, I do think you have to think twice.
Yes.
But if the best offensive lineman is available still whenever they pick, I would go offensive lineman.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the Campbell kid from Texas who I think was one spot above.
From LSU,
Ashton.
you mean?
There's one from Texas, and the other one I think is LSU.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So Will Campbell from LSU is ranked number 8th.
Okay.
And then Cameron Williams, Will Campbell is 8. Cameron Williams from Texas is 32.
Okay.
Yeah. You got Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas as well.
Okay.
He's number 10. So there's a couple of top 10 offensive line picks that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, where the Bears are picking, they should have a shot at one of those guys.
Yeah, I would think so. And then you're potentially going to have 3 picks in the top 40 because they have their own first, their own second, and Carolina's second.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I think if you're drafting based on need, I think 2 of those guys have to be offensive linemen, definitely. And I would try to make the third one a pass rusher. I think you got to put somebody on the other side of Sweat that's going to consistently rush the quarterback. I mean, I know they drafted Austin Booker this past year, and I mean, he was a 5th round pick, I think, or 6th. He's okay. I know he kind of rotates with a bunch of other guys, but they need a real get after the quarterback guy,
Mm-hmm. I mean, you see how much that impacts a game when you have somebody like that out there.
Yes.
Because it helps all levels of defense when you can get pressure on the quarterback or you have a solid run defense. If you can get pressure with just 4 guys, I mean, think about the coverage options you've got then, or even the blitzing options you want behind that. So I'm totally with you. The game is still won at the offensive defensive line.
Yes.
So get better there and get better fast.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing, I'll pose you this. And I think we're seeing it, how important is Jaquan Brisker to this defense?
Yeah, important. Because that means Tyreek Stevenson is less of a chance of being out there.
Well, give that. I mean, Brisker being a safety, he's playing instead of Elijah Hicks or Jonathan Owens or Mr. Simone Biles. Obviously, strong safety, covers the run really well. I mean, they're 1-9 without him.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, not totally because of him, but we've seen what this defense has turned into the past 3 weeks. They played a little better today. in the second half. First half, again, they just got torched. I mean, they gave up an 82-yarder to Goff and I forget who made the catch. Williams, Jameson Williams. That's right. And after that, you're just like, oh Jesus, here we go again, And it's like you almost feel like the game's over before it even starts. I knew when the Lions went up 10-0, I'm like, this game's done. We're not coming back from this. Not against this team. There's no way. And I mean, you have Jalen Johnson with a stupid ass unsportsmanlike penalty. I mean, he's a captain. When your captains can't keep it together on the field and set the expectation that, hey, we're going to be professionals. We're going to play like we care, play like it matters. When your captains can't do that, it just speaks to where this team is really at as far as being a professional outfit, because they're just a mess, man. Overall, they're a mess.
Yeah. I wish I had answers for you. I don't. And clearly the Bears don't either.
No.
What I do find interesting is that if you look at the Chicago Bears website as of November, this is as of October 30th. They have not changed it since then. They have their depth charts listed, and they only have one safety listed as a starter, Kevin Byard.
Yeah.
The other safety position, first string, is blank. And they've got second string Elijah Hicks and Jonathan Owens as the two other safeties. So I think they've wiped Brisker from the site, and they didn't promote either Hicks or Owens into that other starting safety spot.
Well, I think they put Brisker on injured reserve for the rest of the year, so that explains that part. But I'm guessing, I know Hicks started today, but I know Owens has also started. I think they're probably still trying to find the answer because they really don't have one.
I think it's hilarious, though. It's like, neither of you guys are good enough to be listed as a starter on their own website.
Yeah, it's just, again, another thing that's indicative of where we're at. Right? So, I don't know. I mean, they have the only position group on the defense that you could say is good is their linebackers. And granted, they only use two because they're playing nickel all the time, but TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds have more than done their part. I know Edwards is up there in tackles just about every game. So you can't complain there. Montez Sweat, everybody says he's playing hurt. The guy doesn't get a whole lot of help. He doesn't register a lot of sacks, but you could see it. He does disrupt a lot of things, and he plays the run pretty well. So you can't really complain a lot about that. Obviously, you're paying a guy almost $100 million over 4 years. You'd like to see the sack numbers be more, but again, I think when you're trying to do it all by yourself, it's really difficult to be successful.
Yep. So lots of problems. These are your 2024 Chicago Bears. On paper, looked good going into the season. Then the real world's punched them in the mouth, and they never got up from it. Caleb is having a decent year. He's on pace, I think, to come close to setting the Bears record. I don't think he's going to throw for 4,000 yards, but he might get to about 3,700 yards, which is only about 100 away from the record for the Bears.
He's 567 yards away with 2 games to go. 38-38 is Eric Kramer's numbers. Okay. Granted, he's going to play an extra game. Those are 16 games. Now they're playing 17. But I think it's fair to say he's going to finish, between 37 and 3,800 yards. He's got 19 touchdowns, probably, 22, maybe 23. He still only has the 5 interceptions. He is, I will say this, we asked for this last week. He is starting to throw the ball down the field a little bit more. It was nice to see today Keenan, DJ, and Rome all had catches of over 20 yards today. All 3 of them.
Yep. As soon as he threw that one, it was everyone's like, this is what I've been talking about. Throw the ball deep. You've got the one-on-one coverage. It's a 50-50 ball. Throw the ball and trust your receiver to either catch it or play defense on it.
That's why the pass to Odunze was so good.
Yeah.
On the 4th down. He kind of floated it a little bit, but he also threw it back shoulder, which allowed Odunze to come back for it. And Yeah, and you let your rookie receiver go up and fight for it and make a catch, and he did, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, when that happened, I like clap my hands and say, yes, like literally sitting on the couch. I'm like, this is exactly what I was talking about. Throw the
yes,
ball, Caleb. Throw it.
yes. So let me ask you this, because I was debating this with a guy that I work with today, because as I told you, we text back and forth during the games. He is convinced, and I totally disagree with this. He is convinced that because Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix are on the verge of leading their teams to the playoffs, especially he likes to compare them to Jaden Daniels, obviously because they're 1 and 2.
Mhm.
Do you think the NFL and the fans and everybody, according to him, in the entire world, are going to say that the Bears missed by drafting Caleb Williams?
I don't think you can say that right now. I think you answer that question in 3 years. I
Okay.
don't think you can say it right now.
That's kind of what I was getting at. And I told him, just because, and this is my opinion, just because Daniels and Nix are having great seasons for them, right? Nix has a real bona fide head coach in Sean Payton who knows how to run an offense and knows how to call a game. That counts for something. Daniels, again, has a real NFL head coach and a proven offensive coordinator who once again knows how to call a game in Cliff Kingsbury. Whereas Caleb is in a much different situation, as we've, beat to our heads. But I think Daniels and Nix's seasons are totally independent. What they
Mhm.
do is totally independent of what Caleb does. And I don't think you can say, based on the other two, that Caleb is a miss. You put Jaden Daniels on this team, I think you see the same thing. You
Yeah.
put Bo Nix on this team, you put Drake May on this team, you put JJ McCarthy out there, Penix Jr., you put him out there. I think you see the very same thing, if not worse.
Yeah,
Because
I'm with you on that.
despite all that, despite everything that's happened, despite the 58 sacks that he's taken, despite all the, flushed out of the pocket, all the, misses that he still needs to work on, obviously, he's still, you know, flirting with the Bears record for passing yards in a season.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think
he
they're
hasn't
they
thrown an
having
interception in 2 months.
they're having pretty similar seasons. You got 19 touchdowns versus 22. Jaden's got the edge there. You've got 5 interceptions to 8. Caleb's got the edge there. They've both thrown for, let's call it 3,271 or 3,271 and 3,303. So they're within 30 yards of each other.
Okay.
The big difference in my mind is the accuracy. Caleb on the year is throwing 62%, and Jaden is almost 70%. So the accuracy has been better. Now, you could argue that the Commanders have a more complete football team around them as well.
Oh, 100%.
So, yes, independent. I think I don't think you can judge a rookie on 1 year. If I had to, Caleb's done better than he probably should have with the team as it has manifested itself on the field this year.
I agree. I mean, you make Caleb's completion percentage from 62 to the
Bring it to
70 that
70. Yep.
70 that Daniels has. Depending on what those extra completions are, you could easily add, 300 yards to his total.
And I think that part of that is play calling, and that's those quick
Yes.
passes. If you're holding the
Yes.
ball, you're taking statistically harder to complete passes by rolling out and scrambling all over the place. Get
Yes.
the ball out quick. It's a high percentage, high pass. It's the West Coast offense, and your completion rate will go up. Your yards will go up, and you won't be, second and 10, second and 11, or third and 11 all the time, like the Bears seem to be.
Yeah, I mean, obviously their two biggest needs. I think their two biggest needs this offseason are offensive line and a competent coaching staff. And when I say competent coaching staff, I mean everything in my mind needs to be brand new.
Now, what do you
Head
think
coach,
of Ron Rivera? because that's making the rounds right now.
I know.
Is he a culture changer for the Bears?
Okay, obviously, ex-Bear.
Mm-hmm.
Did he really have success as a head coach? In what,
Fits,
Carolina and Washington?
A few fits of success. I wouldn't say sustained.
Yeah,
no.
exactly. Would it be the sentimental pick? Maybe. I mean, I saw online, hey, why don't they bring in Singletary? He's got head coaching experience. I mean, I
well, we saw that in the 49ers, and that did not work out.
yeah. Yeah. Well, unless they have a like a Vernon Davis situation. I don't know.
Right. Can't
But,
with him, can't coach him.
Can't do it.
Yep. Meanwhile,
one of the
it goes out
all-time sound bites.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
anyway, Rivera, I don't know how he's been out of the game for what? Was it just last year?
Yeah, I think last year, maybe it was the year before that. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't like the pick. I don't think he's a game changer.
No.
Who do you pair with him? Because he's not a quarterback whisperer, right? If the whole goal here is to bring in a quarterback to help develop Caleb Williams, Ron Rivera is not that guy.
No.
So who can he convince to join him? To be the offensive coordinator, to be the passing coordinator, to be the quarterback's coach. Like, I just don't think he can attract top end talent, because all the top end talent, they want to be head coaches, right? Ben Johnson, right? Everyone's talking about him.
Joe Brady from Buffalo. Yep. You'd love to have either one of those guys, I think, but would they want to come here? I mean, granted,
when you're looking for a promotion.
Yeah, and if you are the guy that can make Caleb Williams the guy, yeah.
I think for the most part, most players want to be, or most coaches want to be a head coach at least once. Like, I think that's the goal for every coach, right? Is I want to be the head coach.
I would hope so.
Occasionally, they realize, sometimes maybe more quickly than others, that maybe they aren't a head coach. They're better as an offensive coordinator or defense coordinator, right? Second, not being the head coach, that kind of thing. But everybody wants to be a head coach.
Yeah, look at Eberflus. Here, look at Matt Nagy.
Mm-hmm.
He came out of or came away from Kansas City, became the head coach of the Bears, was not all that great. Now he's back in Kansas City. Granted, I know Andy Reid calls the plays. The perfect example of that is Josh McDaniels.
Yep.
Very good offensive coordinator for the Patriots. Yeah. Both times he was a head coach, fell flat on his face.
Miserably.
Yes.
Yeah.
But went back to New England both times, and it was kind of like he never left. So,
yeah. So I think this crop of offensive coordinators that are, being whispered around the job, Ben Johnson, these others, it's going to be, I think, their first head coaching gig. So yes. Of course they're going to be interested in it. I think the only way that the Bears don't end up with one of those guys is if they totally fuck it up in the management interview. Right.
Well,
something with polls or something with a management structure or whatever. I mean, I don't think it'll come down to money. I don't think it'll come down to talent. I think it comes down to the organization itself.
I think ultimately it will come down to the amount of control they will allow the head coach to have. A lot of head coaches want personnel control. A lot of head coaches want, draft control, all that stuff. And, they have problems working with somebody. A lot of times the head coach is the one who picks the GM, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the GM works for the head coach too, in some cases.
But it didn't always be like that. Usually it's the GM pitching the coach.
No.
So I think it depends on who got there first and who has more solidified their tenure and their stature within the organization. I don't think Ryan Poles has done that. So I think if we've talked about this, I think if a premium head coach comes in and says, if Ben Johnson comes in and says, I'm your guy, I'm going to do it, but Poles can't be here. See you later, Poles. They let him go.
I'll admit, I am more and more leaning towards the idea of letting Ryan Poles go. I would be okay with that. At first, I thought, well, he's done some good things, but when you really strip it down and look at what he's done, there's a lot of bad. I mean,
a lot. I mean, he got his one brilliant move was taking advantage of the Carolina Panthers,
Yes.
arguably one of the worst franchises and worst ownership groups in the league, in David Tepper. So is that a win, when you're picking on somebody like that? And this is almost like the Woody Johnson scenario, which I don't know if I'm segueing here a little bit, but did you hear the story this last week about Woody Johnson from the
Oh, yeah.
Jets
Yes.
and using Madden ratings and his sons as like gauges on whether or not to make trades?
Yes, I did hear that. And as surprised as I was, I kind of stood back and looked at it and I'm like, well,
Mhm.
I know a lot of teams like refer to the Madden playbook and either pull plays out of there or run the plays that Madden runs, which is kind of interesting. So it doesn't really shock me, but if you look at it at its face value, you're like, what the hell is going on?
Right. Um, and it's like a real life video game for them, right? Or fantasy football. I don't know. But I forget where we're going with that one, but I just thought that was hilarious. If that's the case, then fire your entire scouting department and all that
Right.
stuff and just look up the Madden ratings. And, hey, look, in defense of Madden, they put a lot of effort into Madden ratings. Like it is a whole thing, right?
Oh,
Like
I know
they
they
do
do.
the diligence, they do the work, and they rate people, pretty well.
They're pretty spot on, and it's funny how I know the players are into it. They are, damn well that they are fully aware of what their own Madden rating is, and
Mhm.
if they're not what they think they are, they make it known. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, I'm with you on that. Madden is one of the most well done video games I think ever. Hence why it's as successful as it is. So
Yeah, and the stats are always a big deal when they come out, right? And whoever ends up being a 99 or whatever.
yeah,
So
but this is the
so yeah.
NFL.
Yeah, I know, man.
It's
I'm
the
with you.
NFL. Granted, this is the Jets, and the Jets are, trash because they have Aaron Rodgers, and he's
Yep.
trash, so they can all be trash together.
And they lost, so it's another good day for.
Yes, they did.
That's a silver lining in today's cloudy skies was him
Yes.
losing. I'm looking at the Madden ratings right now, and I filtered on offensive line only.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, like if this is what we're doing, here's where I'm going to build the Bears. There is only one 99 rated offensive lineman in the game,
Oh boy. Okay.
and it's a left tackle.
A left tackle rated a 99.
Mm-hmm.
What's is it Sewell? Penny Sewell?
He is ranked a 96, and he's technically a right tackle.
Oh, that's right. Left tackle rated 99.
He's been around for a while.
I might need some hints on this.
He is in the NFC West.
It's not it's not Trent Williams, is it?
He's the only 99
Really?
ranked offensive lineman in the game right now.
Okay.
Number 2 is Lane Johnson with a 97. Laramie Tunsil and Penei Sewell are both 96s. And Tristan Wirfs is also a 96. Although it looks like Tristan Wirfs used to be a 97. He went down one. Whatever the last time they did a ranking. They have like a little minus
I'm
one.
sure he was pissed off about it.
Yeah, I bet. But if I look at these rankings, you've got Kansas City with 2 of the top 10 ranked ones. Joe, is it Thuney, a left guard?
Okay.
And Creed Humphrey, center, are both ranked in the top 10. And you got a couple Detroit Lions on the top list here. Actually, got 3 Detroit Lions: center, right guard, and right tackle. In the top, like, let's call it 15.
Okay, well, that explains part of the reason why they have successful offenses.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Is like, I get the joke about Madden, but
yeah,
look at these ratings, man.
I don't know how far or how deep you can dig in there, but can you see the Bears rankings?
That's exactly what I was going to do now. So let me go to the NFC North and the Chicago Bears. And you want just offensive lineman? Let's do that.
Yeah.
Your best ranked Chicago Bear, according to Madden, Madden 25.
It's got to be Jenkins.
Tevin Jenkins. He's ranked in 83. Number 2 is Darnell Wright at an 80.
Okay.
And then you got Braxton Jones as a 78, Coleman Shelton as a 73, Matt Pryor as a 72.
Okay, so your left tackle is a 78.
Left tackle Braxton Jones is a 78, yes.
Okay, and the highest rating in the game is a 99.
Yep.
So yeah, that
I mean, they got a
alone.
bunch of other guys on here. Like so that rookie they picked up, right? Or Kieran
Amagaje,
yeah, whatever. He's ranked. He's rated as a 68.
he should be about a 40. But
Larry Borum's a 66. Bill Murray is a 64. Jake Curhan is a 62, and Doug Kramer Jr. is a 60.
oh well, maybe Doug Kramer Jr. plays fullback better than he offensive line. Hey, as long as he reports. But anyway,
Yeah.
um,
So if your best offensive lineman is an 83, right, and you got a bunch of other stuff. I mean, I'm having to scroll pretty far down
Yeah.
to find the first Bears player.
You have two guys in the 80s. Two.
Yeah.
In the 80s, none in the 90s. And of those two, one of them is an 80, which means he's not that far from 79. That says it all right there.
Yep.
Just bad.
Who has the best offensive line in football? Because if I want to look at that, what do we say? Philly would be the
Philly, or based on what you're telling me, if Detroit has three guys in the 90s, it's hard to argue them not be.
All right, let's look at Detroit and Philly. Apply filters. Okay, so all right, Wayne Johnson 97, Penny Sewell 96. Both are right tackles.
Okay.
Then you've got Jordan Mailata, left tackle for the Eagles at a 92. You got Frank Ragnow, center, at a 91 for the Lions.
Okay.
A right guard, Kevin Zeitler, 91 for the Lions. And then Landon Dickerson is an 87 at left guard.
For the Lions.
For the Eagles.
Okay.
So it goes, if I'm just reading from top to bottom, right? You got Eagles, Lions, Eagles, Lions, Lions, Eagles, Eagles, Lions, Eagles. It goes basically back and forth.
Okay,
You
so
could
Eagles,
argue the Lions are a little bit better.
Okay, so Eagles and Lions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So based on that, you would think both of those teams probably have pretty good, obviously pretty good offenses, but they probably have pretty good running games, correct?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay. Well, today, Saquon Barkley went for 150 yards, and Jahmyr Gibbs went for 109.
Yeah. And that's not even counting Gibbs carrying the full load because Montgomery didn't play.
Correct. And I think even towards the end, I know the Lions went to somebody else. So Gibbs's yards were for the most part, in 3 quarters.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if the Bears were able to solve their offensive line problems, which I think can be done in one off season if they get the right guys, obviously, between upgrading the talent, getting a real offensive scheme that works, I think you would see big time improvement, not only in Caleb, but I think you get more out of Swift, because I think Swift in the open field, I think, is actually good. It's getting him there is the problem.
Well, DeAndre Swift's ranked an 82 overall. Okay. 91 speed, 68 strength. So yeah, basically
there you go.
Saying the whole one.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
He needs to run behind a line that's going to obviously block well for him. And once you get him out there, I mean, he's gone. So it's just getting him there.
Well, they've also got Caleb Williams rated as a 75 right now.
That's fair. He's a rookie.
The best, if again, Madden ratings, the two best players by rating are DJ Moore and Jalen Johnson at an 88. And then Kevin Byard at an 87.
Okay, Byard in my mind is not an 87.
I'm just reading what
I know.
Madden tells you, but yes, I'm with you. TJ Edwards is an 84. Jaquan Brisker is an 83. So they've got actually Byard rated a higher rating than Jaquan Brisker.
Interesting. Okay.
And Kmet's an 82. DeAndre Swift is an 82. Keenan Allen is an 82. So Montez Sweat is only an 81.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, you look at the men rankings, and there is a lot of help needed to even be competitive.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you buy Madden 26, you better be hoping that they have better ratings for their offensive linemen, or you're gonna have another tough year.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, a lot of work to do, a lot of off-season work to do, a lot of evaluating to be had. I hope that on both lines, offense and defense, both their lines look drastically different next year because they need to.
Yeah, but I think we got to temper expectations too. That it's not going to be
No,
eight new starters on your offensive line just isn't going to happen. I'll be happy if they can find 1 to 2 offensive linemen and 1 to 2 defensive linemen that are quality, starters or soon to be starters.
I think 2 is realistic, and I think
Yeah.
2 should be expected. I think that would be the expectation. And
With where they're drafting and the salary cap room that they have,
yeah,
go out, get somebody.
and that comes down to scouting and Ryan Poles. And getting back to Poles, yes, the Carolina thing was great, but I mean, this guy traded for Chase Claypool. That was a bust.
Yep.
Amagage, a 3rd rounder, again, a project. We'll see. Trading for Ryan Bates, who gave us 2 games and is now back on injured reserve. That was a bust. Signing Nate Davis, that was a bust. I mean, he's got a lot of misses, over the past couple of years. And while the hit was great, the misses really stick out like a sore thumb in my mind.
Yep.
So,
and you could argue those are almost as important as the big swings, because they're the ones that are filling in the cracks around your roster. Because if one of those big players goes down, it's next man up, and you can see that they don't have the depth.
Right. Yeah. Next man, they don't really, in some cases, don't have a next man.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or in case of their website, no, there is no other starting safety. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
There you go. Chicago Bears. It was, the game today was interesting. A lot of offense. Jared Goff had a great game. So Goff and Williams were the 2, at least as of now, Sunday night when we're recording this, 2 most passing yards throughout the entire league. So there was a lot of offense in that game for the Bears.
Well, it seems like if you're playing against Jared Goff, you better have your track shoes on, man, because the Lions obviously like to throw, which, has you as a Bears fan salivating at the idea of Ben Johnson being your head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that guy, Jesus Christ, did you see the fake fall play today?
Yeah.
I mean, how
two
creative
players
is that?
fake falling? Like, what is that about?
How creative is that one? And what a slap in the face, and what disrespect they show the Bears by running it, knowing that it was going to work. But anyway.
Well, I would like to go back to the Front Page Sports Football League that we used to have, and the I Fly play where the player falls down, pretends to be injured, and then the wide receiver goes streaking up the sideline.
Hilarious. Totally
so
forgot
Ben Johnson
about that.
clearly was taking notes from our little computer football league from, God, was that 20 years ago?
Yes. Well, I'm glad somebody was, because the greatest play in the history of football, rocket left and rocket right.
Yep. Couldn't stop it. And
no.
And Chad, if you're listening, your cheap knockoff of missile left and right were total bullshit.
Yeah, got to give Chad credit on that one. And he loved it. We all adopted it. We all loved it. He couldn't stop his own play. That was the best part. So, it was fun. But anyway.
Yep. Front Page Sports Football. Man, they don't make them like that anymore.
No, they really don't. When you can make a play called Why Not, and it works like 80% of the time, then it's not all that realistic, but that's all right.
I spent so much time on that game between drawing up plays and running our little fantasy league off of it. That was a lot of fun.
The funny part, if I recall, about that game was they didn't use the real NFL players, but all they did was
licensed.
Yeah, but all they did was take all the names and then just mix them up.
Yeah.
So you could get the NFL players, they just had different names, and it was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. They made several versions of this, so I don't remember which one we played, but it first came out in 1992. Front Page Sports Football. This is for the personal computer. I remember this, and I don't remember if we played Front Page, Football Pro 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. And then they had an NFL Football Pro 2000, which ended up getting canceled. So this was kind of along the lines of, before Madden kind of really, really got big.
Well, let's see. We probably started playing that game. Let's see. We all started at Chili's in December of 94.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably started playing that game, what, 95?
Yeah, it's got to be something like that.
95, maybe very early 96. But I mean, we started playing that game pretty quickly after we all met, if I recall.
Yep. I think it's Front Page Sports Football Pro if I'm looking at the cover, which I got to zoom in on this because it's too small. It looks like maybe a Redskins player knocking the shit out of a Buffalo Bills player. No, actually, you know who it is? It's the Bears. Ron Rivera, linebacker for the Bears, is knocking the shit out of a Buffalo wide receiver. 80
Good old number 59, if I remember correctly. But
you are correct.
Yes. Yeah. Front Page Sports Football. I mean, not quite 10-yard fight type football video game,
no.
but pretty close, as I recall. But I know
much more simulation than the arcadey Madden of the time. Yeah.
Yes, but boy, we spent many hours playing that game in your living room, as I recall. It was a good time.
Yeah, well, and remember, home team got to use the controller, and away team had to use the keyboard. That's how it worked. That was the home field advantage, which is kind of genius if you think about it. It was like, all right, there is an advantage to having home field.
Boy, man, how far have we come? Wow.
Yep. Yeah, and I haven't played a Madden game in years, so
no,
I haven't bought one in probably a decade.
I've played a couple times here and there just because my boys have it and play it, and I just get absolutely schooled every time I play. So between that and NHL hockey, my kids just tear me apart on both those games, and I don't play enough video games to be any good. Not that I was that good when we played a ton of video games, but yeah, now not good at all.
Yeah, I play World of Warcraft still. 20 years. The game's been out 20 years.
No kidding. Cool.
Just celebrated its 20-year anniversary. Still going strong. Still a lot of fun for me. And then I'll occasionally play like Diablo or Path of Exile 2. Just came out in like early access, which is more like a action arcade type game. So,
are you?
The only game I consistently play is World of Warcraft still.
Are you an Xbox guy or are you a PlayStation guy?
Xbox, no PlayStation.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the whole window. Well, I use a Mac, but I just have an affinity towards the Xbox side of things. I think Game Pass is the best deal in like gaming, like $20 a month, and you have a huge library of games you can play on both PC and Xbox, and you can also stream it. So it's kind of a no-brainer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we've been an Xbox household for a while. I think Justin out in Colorado, I think he moved over to PlayStation, but he didn't live here, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's fine. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. But I know my other two are Xbox guys, and they're huge into the Call of Duties and those type of games. And I believe they played was it Minecraft? They played that for a long time. It
was huge and continues to be huge. Same thing with Fortnite.
Yeah, they were Fortnite players for a while. But I know Call of Duty is kind of a mainstay in our house, and I think I got to look around, make sure he's not down here. But I think we're buying one of the boys a new Xbox because he asked for one. So I'm going to see if he'll leave his old one here.
Nice.
If he does, we'll hook it up, and then maybe I can hone my skills a little bit. So
there you go. You start perusing the Madden ratings.
Yeah, there you go. I could become a 51-year-old Xbox junkie. So yeah.
GM, right? Figure out what the Bears need to do. Like you've done the analysis in your basement on Madden. Here's what you need to do. I'd like to introduce the next head coach / GM of the Chicago Bears, Jason McGuigan.
That's right. And play franchise mode. Have a proven model that works. Go into the interview with Kevin Warren and just lay it all out there. This is what we do.
And don't forget, you have to say we're going to beat the Packers. We're going to take back the North. Those are obligatory. Everybody coming in.
Never give it back. Yes, we're going to do all that. And I'm going to run QB Woggle if that play is even still in the game. just about every play. So.
What are some other bold coaching moves that you might have? Go for it in every fourth down. There is no punting.
Oh, no punting.
Yeah.
No punting. I would bring back the option. I used to remember when we used to play NCAA football.
Mm-hmm.
Played NCAA football. It was always USC when they had Reggie Bush and Lindale White. The option play was the greatest play ever in that game. So I would definitely bring that back. Oh, we got Dallas going deep here. Oh, he dropped it. Anyway, right before halftime. Anyway, I would bring that back. I would definitely throw more than run because that's what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but definitely no punts. And honestly, I would only kick field goals if I absolutely had to, like, to win the game.
Mm-hmm. So you're not investing in kickers.
No.
Yep.
No.
I'm with you on
I
that.
would think.
What is I mean, you're describing, last week we talked about the Bears not having an offensive identity, and you're describing an identity for me now. Like, this is what I want to hear. Like, tell me what I'm going to expect. What is the offensive identity of the J-Mac Chicago Bears?
The J-Mac offense.
Yeah.
I guess maybe you could call it the Midwest offense as opposed to the West Coast offense. The upper Midwest offense. Okay, now, factually speaking, I would throw the ball down the field more. I would try to establish the run. With this offensive line, it's really tough because you know what you're going to get, right? You try to run between the tackles. More often than not, you're going to get 2, maybe 3 yards. So I would, kind of get on the outside more. I would put Caleb on the move more. I know it cuts half the field down. I get that, but I think that's when Caleb's at his best, when he is on the move. I would design run with him more, because I think he's athletic enough to do it. They seem to have a lot of plays that are very similar, and they love to run them back to back for whatever reason.
And they're very predictable. They run the same, like sweep left, sweep right type thing.
DJ Moore today.
Yeah.
The run that DJ Moore did, I think he actually fumbled it and picked it back up, but you knew exactly what was going to happen as soon as he went in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need plays where he goes in that motion, but doesn't take the handoff.
Right.
You need misdirection. I need more stuff over the middle. I need a ton more Cole Kmet. I'm sorry, you have a top 10 NFL tight end, at least in my mind. And
he caught a touchdown today, but 2 catches,
he did.
2 targets,
2 catches for 9 yards. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, I'm not saying he's Travis Kelce. I'm not saying he's George Kittle. I'm not saying he's Hawkinson, but he's probably the next tier. He's every bit as good as, or could be every bit as good as, like, a Mark Andrews or there's
even
another guy.
Laporta.
Yeah, Laporta. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
He could be every bit as good as those 2 guys, and they just do not give him the chance.
Well, to be fair, they don't give tight ends a chance to catch balls.
No, they don't.
They never have.
No, like,
I mean, go back to Ditka, I guess. They had Greg Olsen, and they let him go because he didn't fit.
Right.
The guy goes on and kicks ass in Carolina and other places.
Like, why did they spend money on Gerald Everett this offseason? Why?
He's a great blocker.
Yeah, he finally caught a pass today. Yeah, but you have Mercedes Lewis to be your blocker.
Mercedes Lewis is ancient.
I know he's 80 years old, but he could still block.
He's got Gerald Everett has 8 catches on 12 targets this year.
Yeah, he had like 50 some odd catches last year for the Chargers, I believe.
Man, he's been in the league for a while now.
Yeah.
Drafted in 2017. Like, I don't know. He doesn't jump out me as a stud player for any team at that point.
No. I mean, but again, why'd you spend good money on him? Why? For 8 catches? Whoop-de-doo. And if he's a good blocker, he's obviously not helping you because their running game is shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Every time we go back to it, we think, well, there's a positive, and then it's just that. Yeah, but they're shit. It's shit.
Yeah, they're shit. That's 20.
They really are.
Your Chicago Bears. They're shit.
Yeah. I'll tell you what could be shit is Jalen Hurts going down today. Concussion.
Yeah, I missed the first part of it. I just saw that he had a concussion later on. I was like, why the heck is Kenny Pickett playing?
Yeah, well, you saw what the Eagles offense did once Pickett entered the game. I mean, Hurts had him up, 21-7 or something like that, and it kind of went to shit after that for
Hmm.
the Eagles.
Well, it's nice having Saquon to fall back on, and
Yeah.
I think he had 9 carries for 120 yards or something when I looked at it in the first quarter. I'm like, all right, another Saquon game.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I mean, they lost today. They did
Yeah.
wind up losing.
Yeah, I mean they had a chance like that. Smith, the wide receiver, dropped that
Oh,
third down or fourth down thing over
yeah,
the middle.
that would have clinched the
Dude,
game, and it was
yeah,
right in his hands. So you can't blame.
twice. He had it
Yeah.
first time, he had it the second time, and then he still dropped it. So
Yeah, you can't really blame him for that, or
Yeah.
blame Pickett's for that. So
I mean, Washington's a good team, 10-5. Eagles are 12-3. So it's a game of inches, and these games are a lot closer than I think a lot of people realize.
yeah, God, I mean, talking about Daniels, I mean, he had 339 total yards today, 5 touchdown passes. Granted,
Mhm.
also two picks, but
2 picks, and he also fumbled 3 times.
he
To
did.
win a game like that with 5 turnovers, that's pretty impressive.
Well, again, I mean, that's the second time it's happened this year. Goff won the one with 5 interceptions earlier this year. So, yeah, 5 turnovers and 5 touchdowns. How often does that happen?
Not often.
No. And we saw, what else did we see today? We saw Josh Allen kind of come down to earth a little bit today. He did not have a Josh Allen type game. It was ugly early for Buffalo. I think they were down 14-0, but they finally got it together enough to squeeze out a win over the Patriots. So that was good. I mean, Allen, in my mind, is probably the front runner for the MVP, I would think. I know Barkley's in that conversation. I know Goff's in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you who's not in that conversation, despite what they were talking about on TV today. I don't think Mahomes is MVP
No,
this year.
No.
I don't know.
I don't think so either.
He did play well, coming off the ankle injury, but I mean, the Chiefs they're winning, but they're this close, man. I mean, it's all one score, this happened or that happened or this fluke happened or whatever. And they're close. I know they're 14-1, but I don't think they're as good as their record says they are.
No, I mean, like the Chiefs are the bizarro Bears, right? For every bad thing the Bears have done to lose games,
Yeah,
somehow the magic horseshoe has been with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. Barkley, getting back to him, over 1,800 yards rushing right now with 2 games to go.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think it's going to come down to these last couple of weeks. I think Josh Allen is the front runner, but a game like he had today where it's kind of ho hum and really didn't do much. I think 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not a great game by his standards.
No.
But if Saquon continues to run like he has been over the last couple of weeks, I think it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens here. It's tough for a non-quarterback to win that.
That
award.
It is. I was going to say, I think one more guy you could probably put in the conversation based on his numbers is Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson's another good one. Yep.
Yeah. So
he's kind of been quietly going about his business. Like he just hasn't been in the news.
Right.
Even though he's putting up numbers. I don't know I don't know what the problem is, but I mean, he's having a great year. And so is Derrick Henry. He's right up there in rushing yards.
Well, that's what's weird about the Ravens, right? I mean, you got a really good quarterback. You got Derrick Henry is a really good running back, and they're both having really good years. Why isn't their record better? Is their defense not good?
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that. I haven't watched enough Ravens football to know. I mean, they got Roquan Smith on defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how well they were
10-5.
Yeah, I mean, they're good.
So is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's also 10-5.
Right, exactly. And is Pittsburgh, they're a team where you just kind of think, okay, are they for real? Like, is Russell Wilson really a playoff winning quarterback at this point in his career? I don't know.
People are not happy with his performance. Was it yesterday or whatever?
No.
And him fumbling on the goal line a couple times, and
there was that. I mean, they have Najee Harris, who's decent, but again, not a household name. and outside of what's his face, Pickens, George Pickens,
Yeah.
receivers, I can't tell you another receiver on that team.
Yeah.
So, there's I basically what I'm trying to spit out here is I think the Super Bowl is still wide open. I don't think
Yeah.
there's a definitive path for any team in either conference to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean,
Yeah,
you've got Kansas City at the shakiest 14-1 I've ever seen. The Bills at 12-3, kind of depends on which version of the Bills show up.
right.
The Steelers, again, which version of them shows up. Houston Texans, I think, have been a disappointment at 9-6, considering where they were last year.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100%.
And then
agree.
you got the Ravens, fifth in the AFC at 10-5. I mean, they have just as good a chance as anyone else on that team or on that conference. Then you've got the Lions. Lions are at 13-2, Eagles at 12-3, and then you got the Rams at 9-6. You've got Tampa Bay at 9-6, and you got the Vikings at 13-2. So I don't know. I would like to see the Lions make the Super Bowl just because they've been so bad for so long, and maybe it ends up being a Lions-Bills Super Bowl.
I think that's what makes the most sense based on how they've played overall. But if you're like, to me, like a team like let's talk about the Rams for a minute. Okay. So when they played the Bills, I mean, that was at high octane. I mean, that team could keep up with anybody if they really needed to, I think. I mean, would you want to see the Rams in the playoffs? I know I wouldn't. Would you want to see the Packers in the playoffs? As much as I hate them,
yeah,
they're good. Packers.
There's a lot of good teams. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously the Lions. I mean, the
Vikings. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a weird year because it really depends on which version of the teams show up this year.
Well, there's a definite difference this year, and I think more than previous years, between the really good teams and the really bad teams. There aren't very many teams that are average.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at the Bears at 4-11, and they still only have technically the 9th worst record in football. That says something, right? There should be more teams with a better record than them, but there aren't.
Well, they play also in the NFC North has to be it has to be the best division in football.
Overall, yeah, 100% on that one. I mean,
which sucks for the Bears because they're not catching up anytime soon to
these other teams. They unfortunately have the biggest hill to climb, and it's not going to happen obviously this year. It's probably not going to happen next year.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you just hope that they get the coach right and make some changes on offense as far as offensive line. Caleb takes another step, and maybe next year, okay, maybe we get to 8 wins, maybe 9, whatever. But yeah, in this division, it's going to be tough.
Yep. And what kind of shocks me is the Bengals record being 7-8, considering they have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase going absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Passing yards and receiving yards. And yet they have a losing record.
Yeah, Burrow's already up over 4,000 yards.
Yep.
He's got an outside shot, I think, at 5,000 yards. I don't know if he'll get there, but he throws the ball a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And their running game
39
isn't bad either.
touchdowns, 40 touchdowns for him.
Something like that,
interceptions. Yeah. He's having a great year.
Yeah.
He's not going to, if they had a winning record, he'd probably be in the conversation for MVP.
For sure.
But
for sure,
7-8 ain't going to do it.
No, to have that kind of year and not make the playoffs, it's pretty disappointing.
Yep. And they're not eliminated yet, but I mean, it's hard to root for a team with a losing record, even if they make the playoffs somehow.
So technically, they're still in the hunt.
Yeah, exactly. They're hanging around. Let's see, they are the 10th seed right now in the AFC. Okay. So they've got a few things that need to have happen for them to get in. But Miami has a tiebreak over them. So do the Colts, and they're all 7-8. So. I think Bengals have to win out, and then Colts and Dolphins both have to lose.
So there's your teams that are mid, right? Those 3 teams right there are your mid-level teams.
Yep.
So, yeah. Crazy. Crazy year in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, we just did an hour 10 on the NFL. What else you got for me?
Well, I got one baseball nugget for you, and I know, obviously we know how big of a baseball guy you are.
Baseball's boring as shit.
To you, I understand.
It is. To me, I just can't get into it. But
I get it.
I saw Ricky Henderson passed away.
That's my one baseball nugget
was it?
for this week.
Sorry.
Yes.
Go for it.
No. Ricky was a one-of-a-kind player, passed away yesterday at the age of 65 of pneumonia. If you followed baseball probably from the early to mid 80s through the 90s, if you didn't understand how good of a player Ricky Henderson was, you didn't really know the game very well. That guy could do everything on the baseball field. He could run, he could hit for power, played very good left field, just did everything, and played 25 seasons in the majors from age 20 through age 44, played for 9 different teams, including 4 different stints with the Oakland A's. 4.
I think the most impressive thing that you just told me is he played for 25 years.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
You don't see that very often in baseball. To get to, I would say,
in any sport.
Yeah. The only other sport you might see it once in a great while is hockey. And because I know what LeBron's in year 22, and I know Vince, and I think Vince Carter made it to 22, and I think Garnett played 21, but 25 seasons. The only guy off the top of my head that I know played longer in the modern era was Nolan Ryan. I think he pitched for 27 seasons. But yeah, 25 years. Career record holder for stolen bases with 1,406. Most stolen bases in a season with 130. Most runs scored, 2,295. And most leadoff home runs in a game, 81 times he led off a game with a home run, including one time when he led off both games of a doubleheader with a home run. Pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I'm looking at most season played for MLB, Baseball Reference website.
Okay.
And you're right. Nolan Ryan is tied for the lead with 27 seasons played.
Tied. Okay.
Tied. He played for 4 different franchises from 1966 to 1993. 27 seasons, 4 franchises. He's tied with a player who also had 27 seasons with 3 franchises.
Oh, boy.
No cheating.
How long ago?
You will never get this. Never. Because this is before the year 1900.
Oh, then I have no idea.
So Cap Anson played from 1871 to 1897.
Wow.
You had another player, Deacon McGuire, played from 1884 to 1912.
My guy.
26 seasons. And then Tommy John and Ricky Henderson, 26 seasons and 25 seasons.
Pretty awesome. I know.
I got to look up this guy, Cap Anson. Okay, so he looks like he was from the 1880s. Let's see. 97 home runs, 3,435 hits, batted .334.
Okay.
2,075 RBIs, on base of 394, slugging of 447. So,
wow.
And he's Chicagoan. So he died in Chicago in 1922, and he's buried in the Oakwoods Cemetery in Chicago, Illinois.
Well, I will have to go see him. See
his
gravestone.
Cap Anson.
Yeah, Hall of Famer, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But
I mean, if you play that long, isn't it like automatic?
Yeah, right. I know Ricky was a Hall of Famer, but he was a Hall of Famer based on his play, not for playing.
Not
so
just
long.
longevity.
No.
Well, if you're longevity, you're probably racking up stats along the way.
Yeah, I mean, 2 other players that I know played a long time. What is it? Jamie Moyer.
Yeah,
played a long time.
25 seasons.
And I think Julio Franco played for quite a while, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I know he played well into his 40s, but there were some questions as to how old he really was. But anyway,
Julio was 23 seasons.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, you get to 20 seasons in
any sport.
Any sport.
Except
that's really, yeah. Yeah, bowling and maybe golf. You could do those two things for a long time, but
to do it
but
well is hard.
yeah. But Ricky, for me, one of the most exciting players to ever play. A lot of people might not agree with me, but for my money, he is a top 10 offensive player of all time. Just for what he meant to a team and all the things he could do on the field. So, R.I.P. Ricky Henderson. Him passing away, obviously I watched him play and makes me feel old. So,
Yeah.
when players from that you watched on television are now starting to pass away and stuff, that it makes you feel kind of old. But
or their kids are starting to play. Yeah, I think this is just the nature of how old.
I know.
Getting old sucks, and you're seeing all these players, and it's like, I see Daryl Stingley. I'm like, dude, like now I see Daryl Stingley Jr. playing, right? And it's like, okay, how old? I don't know, it's kind of a niche player, but Stingley got famous, I think, because of the paralysis, right?
Yes, he did. I remember.
Yep.
I remember when that happened. One that sticks out for me is Ken Griffey Jr., because I remember when Ken Griffey Sr. played, and then his kid Jr. played, and now his kid is retired, and his kid is in the Hall of Fame. And I think he's got a kid of his own that I think either plays football or baseball in high school or whatever. So it's kind of crazy.
We're starting to see the Manning family, right? So fathers, sons, and now Arch Manning in college might be something.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Arch Manning takes over that job in Texas, because I know he got some looks this year, and I know they've got a starter who I think is coming back one more year. What's his name? Quinn Ewers, I think is his name. And I don't know if he's going to stay there or go into the portal, but I think it might be Arch Manning's time.
Well, he fumbled in the game recently to put him away, which kind of sucks, but
he did.
Growing lessons.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if you follow college football at all, but this is the first year of the 12-team playoff, and it was kind of interesting that the first 8 teams played this past weekend, and in all 8 cases, the home team won, and pretty favorably.
Convincingly, yeah.
Yeah.
I did see something about that, and I guess the intent is to have more competitive games, but the blowouts, as we'll call them, this last weekend are statistically in line with previous years.
Yes.
So it's not a shock.
No, but what'll be really interesting to see is how the next round goes, because you've got, especially for Boise State and Arizona State, who are both conference winners, which is why they were seeded 3rd and 4th, how they fare against the teams that they play who are non-conference winners, but arguably played in a better conference, right? So Arizona State and Boise State could very well be underdogs going into this weekend, even though they're the better seeds. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We kind of saw what Indiana really was. I mean, they'd only come into the game losing 1 game, but people set their strength of schedule with nothing, and they just got manhandled by Notre Dame. And then you saw SMU just get absolutely demolished by Penn State. Ohio State really beat the crap out of Tennessee last night. I know Tennessee's running back was hurt, so I know that, or the starting running back was hurt, so that didn't help them at all. So it'll be interesting to see in 2 weeks when the games resume how it all plays out. I still think Oregon is the favorite. They're the top seed. They've played like a top seed all year long, and I think they come out on top in the end, but we'll see.
Yeah. What you just said. I don't follow college whatsoever.
Yeah, but I will say, and I have to give credit, because even though I hate them, I have always disliked them. I know hate's a strong word. I've always disliked Notre Dame, but this is probably one of the better Notre Dame teams in probably the past 20, 30 years. They looked really good. So shout out to the Fighting Irish, even though I can't stand you.
Do they have offensive linemen?
Almost as much as I can't stand Aaron Rodgers.
Almost. Not even close for me. Do they have offensive linemen? Because that's all I care about. Can they play for the Bears? Can we get them? That's all that matters.
Probably. Dude, these kids. Okay, real quick, because I know we're up against time here, but really quick, some of these offensive linemen in college are freaking enormous, Jeff.
Yeah, I know.
They're 18, 19, 20 years old, and they weigh like 340 pounds.
Yeah. I'm looking at those top picks earlier. I was looking at some of the guys you talked about. They're like 6'6", 330. Like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I'm a bigger guy. I always have been a bigger guy, but these guys would swallow me for lunch
hmm
easily.
hmm
Just
I think I'll have two
absolutely.
Jasons.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
the Hound walking into the bar with Arya Stark on his arm.
Yeah, absolutely enormous.
hmm
But yeah, I would love to see one of those dudes playing guard or tackle for the Bears next year.
I mean, if they're that big, just have them fire out every time and just run ahead. They're not going to have any lateral movement, but just run ahead and fall forward for 3-4 yards every time. You'll make it down the field.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, put DeAndre Swift behind that and let's see how he does. So
No, because what he'll do is he'll dance behind, he'll hesitate, and then he'll do a 2-yard loss, 2-yard loss, 2-yard loss, and then he'll get a 20-yard screen and put his hands up like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
well, maybe if they draft Ashton Genty, they won't have that problem.
No, I hope not, but I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Not until they solve the offensive line.
No, that needs to happen first because Caleb above everything. That's what needs to be the priority.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah. So.
All right. I'll wrap up on a music thing.
Okay.
So I have a out of left field pick for you to check out this week. It is a group called LSD, and it stands for Labyrinth, Sia, and Diplo.
LSD, not to be confused
LSD.
with the street version of LSD.
Correct.
Can you repeat that for me?
Labyrinth, Sia, as in like Sia from Sia, like the singer.
As in, okay.
And Diplo, former Taylor Swift boyfriend and also a DJ and stuff like that.
Labyrinth,
and it's
Sia, Diplo. Got it. Okay.
Yep. It's Labyrinth, Sia, and Diplo present LSD, and it is an album that I think is top notch. It is a little bit different than everything else that I've recommended. It's not rock. It's more poppy. If you like Sia's voice, and she's got plenty of hits of her own, I think Labyrinth has got a great voice, and I think Diplo did a great job of putting the three of them together into this. I'm looking at the album on Spotify right now, and of the 10 songs on the one album they have, this came out in 2019, 6 of them are in my favorites list. So
no kidding.
Yeah. So I think it's a fantastic album. Again, totally different, but check out. It's called LSD, Labyrinth, Sia, and Diplo. And it's just pop it on, and it's a quick album. It's only like 30 minutes long. And just let it roll.
I'll tell you what, I will Spotify this probably within 10 minutes of us getting off this podcast right now.
Okay. And
if you've hyped it up that big, I owe it to you, and I owe it to them to get right on it.
I'm happy to be a musical Sherpa. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out, I just discovered them maybe a couple years ago. But I think it's just a fantastic album. Like, it's just sing along. It's got great beats. It's got a great hooks, and the voice talent is amazing with it. So I think it's just a really well done production.
All right. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The Taylor Swift association scares me a little bit. But
this was back like 30 years ago, whenever. I'm pretty sure Diplo dated Taylor Swift when she was probably like 18 or 19.
Okay.
So it's been a long time. I don't know the details on it. That's the only thing that I know. Diplo actually has another one. It's I think it's only on Apple Music, though, if I remember. It's like an Apple Music session. I have to try and find it out, but that's another one I'll have to look up. Unfortunately, it's not on Spotify. It's like a unique.
I'll try and YouTube
exclusive.
it. You might be able to find it on YouTube somewhere.
I gotta find it. Yeah, I'd have to look it up. I'll either remember for next week or I'll text it to you. But it's another.
I like to think music is to you as baseball is to me.
I mean, that would be very high praise for me, because you are definitely the baseball guru. That is for sure.
I find your music knowledge is better than mine. I tend to stay in my lane a little bit, where I give you a ton of credit. You branch out, you give things a chance, you explore a hell of a lot more than I do.
Except for country. I fucking hate country songs.
I'm not a country guy either. There's an occasional song that I might find a little catchy and stuff like that. Michelle has has branched into country a little bit. She's not a diehard or anything like that, but she does have her country likings and stuff like that. So they play it on our Alexa a lot, and it's like, okay, some of them are all right and stuff, but they're in no way, shape, or form anything I would ever search out. So
yeah, I just don't like it. It doesn't like.
Yeah, for me,
I mean, on the whole, I generally find it abhorrent and not catchy at all. I can appreciate musician and I can appreciate, a singer's ability to sing, but for the most part, I find the songs extremely boring.
Yeah,
not catchy in the least, and it just doesn't do it for me.
They're all the same, and I think a lot of them sound the same. That's my problem. Is there's not a whole lot of variety in country music for me. But yeah,
no, I mean, it's little cliches. With my dog died, which I guess kind of apropos for today for me. But your truck, your wife left you, right? Things like that. It's kind of like try
I need
that.
I need a whiskey.
Bullshit, right? Type stuff.
Yeah, I need a whiskey. I need a beer.
Right. Try that in a small town bullshit. Like that's like, okay, dude, chill out.
Yeah. No, 100%. I'm with you.
Yeah. But yeah, LSD. Check it out.
I will.
I thought it was interesting. I like it a lot, and actually, I might put it on tonight when I go to bed. So we'll see. I wish I could find another one. I'm pretty sure it was an Apple Music thing, so I'll have to look it up and see. But it was just one track that was just like a Diplo thing that I thought was really good.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Cool.
Yeah, looks like Dallas is trying to take control of this game. They're about to go up 26-14 in the third quarter if the field goal is good, and it is. So yeah,
spoiler, it is. I must be ahead on my version compared to yours.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm on a Roku stream, which is usually about 5-6 seconds behind. So
the nice thing about YouTube TV is there is a setting that lets you adjust the broadcast delay. So usually, if you're streaming TV versus like over like a satellite or not satellite or antenna or something like that, there's a delay, right? And what that does is it helps with buffering, so that if there is a problem with the stream, you don't notice it. The company streaming has enough time to fix it before it becomes a problem. But you can lower that on YouTube TV and see it in more real time.
Gotcha.
Moves that 5 to 8 second delay almost real time. So there you go. Music and nerd stuff like that. So there you go.
I pirate my YouTube TV off my sister, so she has all the settings control. So I just kind of, when I watch YouTube TV, it's kind of at her mercy. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm a Hulu guy, and that's what I got. So
all right. Well, let's leave it there. Hour and a half almost. I think this might be our record for FOJ number 12.
All right, man.
And next time we talk, it'll be what, New Year's Eve almost? Something like that?
I believe so.
It'll be the last one of 2024. So.
Yeah. And you, and shame on me real quick. You either have a birthday coming up,
it was yesterday.
Or it just happened.
Yeah.
Shame on me. Shame on your horrible friend. Happy birthday, man. Oh my God.
That's fine. I didn't advertise it. Thank you very much. It was I'll be honest, kind of a shitty birthday, just knowing what was going to happen with Layla the next day. It. But it is what it is.
Was that 48? Ooh. 2 more years, man.
I know. You know what? For 48, I'm doing all right. I have no complaints whatsoever. So
no, you're you're doing very well. So
I can, other than lose some weight, that's about it.
Yeah, I've been saying that ever since I was like 15. So whatever.
Yeah. All right. I will talk to you next week, and we'll watch the Bears lose to Seattle.
Looking forward to that.
And that's it.
All right, man. Well, hey, happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and yours. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. See ya.
All right. Take care.
Bye.